is not training your grip strength, having strong hands, having weak hands, weak forearms, weak wrists. When you defend yourself, whether you're using a firearm for self-defense, you have to be able to hold, you have to be able to keep them from pulling it out of your hand. You have to be able to draw it and get it into the fight for self-defense without losing it. You have to be able to grip and squeeze in order to hit the target. If you're defending yourself with grappling, maybe you do jiu-jitsu or judo or some type of wrestling, you need to have extremely strong grips. The stronger your grip is, the better able you are to defend yourself. If you're just blocking and striking, you have to have extremely strong hands, or having strong hands is going to make you much more effective in self-defense. And then if you are using a tool for self-defense, like a pocket stick, one of my favorite self-defense tools in a non-permissive environment is just a piece of wood in your hand and then striking. But having a strong, powerful grip using any of these self-defense tools or any type of self-defense technique is critically important. And it's one of the mistakes that people make all the time is they'll say to me, and we'll be training together, and I'll show them a technique. Maybe it's a come along technique, or a technique to pull someone's hand off, or a technique to wrap somebody up. Hey, Alita, it's good to see you. Or I teach people weapon retention, how not to have their firearm taken off of them if they conceal carry, or in the case of like the job that I do with security or law enforcement, pulling it off of your hip. There are a lot of examples. Almost monthly, you'll see another example of a law enforcement person or person who is in security, or at times corrections officers in like prison transport, taking them from the county jail to the prison or something like that. And they'll have their gun taken away from them, usually not when it's in their holster, usually when they're pulling it out, and then someone's going to rip it out. And that's a very critical, there are techniques that you can do to defend yourself. And people make the mistake all the time and think, well, I don't need to really work on my grip. I have a gun, that's all I need. And then they have weak hands and they can't even hold on to it. They can't maintain good positive control when they're getting it into for self-defense. So I want to show you some really simple, basic things. I do this daily. I drive around like this. Before I show you what I use daily to maintain a very strong grip and powerful forearms and wrists and fingers and hands, palms, people will say to me all the time when I'm teaching them something, they'll say, well, you can do it because your grip is so much stronger. And I say, yes, and my grip is so much stronger because I train my grip. I wasn't born with big hands. I've been working most of my, as a child, I went to work right away, working with my dad, carrying painting, big heavy brushes, carrying big buckets of paint, carrying all the tools, rollers, all of the sticks. And so naturally you build strength when you work. If you do gardening, you do yard work. So that's the first thing you're going to do. You're going to get stronger hands, grips for self-defense if you do some kind of manual labor. And that doesn't mean you have to get a job in manual labor. That just means, learning how to swing a hammer and hold on to a hammer. Hey, Doug, it's good to see you. But you can also train the grip. In martial arts, we always took buckets of sand, buckets of gravel, buckets of rice, and then you put your hands in and you twist and you spin and you strike. That's another thing in martial arts. You get stronger hands because we're always striking the bag, or striking what's called a makiwara, or the chongo, they call it, the drum in the Korean style. It's just, a board that moves a little bit. Usually it's wrapped in rice rope, and then you strike that, and then that creates tiny fractures in your hands, which make your hands bigger and stronger. And then we do, of course, when we grapple, when you do jiu-jitsu, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, or you do judo, or you do Western wrestling like I did judo, I've done all of those. There's a lot of gripping, especially if you're doing gi training. So they're wearing the uniform and then you're reaching in, especially like a nice thick judo gi, and you're trying to rip and choke somebody, your hands are gonna get really strong. And so doing the training builds strength. But I wanna show you what I use to maintain and continue to build strength. And this is, I'm going to show you two things because they're very important and they work together in tandem. You have to have both. If you just do one, you're going to develop a tendonitis. And if you just grip, I'm going to show you gripping first, or your flexors, the flexing muscles, and then I'm going to show you the extensors, what you do to train opening your hand, because that's equally important. You want to have the strength And the back of the hand, you want to have the strength to open, and that keeps it balanced, and you won't get the overuse injuries, the tendonitis. So this is a Captains of Crush, and they start lower than this. I think there's a 0.5 or one that says C. It's like a trainer, and I forget exactly how many pounds of pressure, maybe 140 pounds. You can put a link in the description. Go to the link in the description. It'll take you to the website, and you'll see what each number represents. It goes all the way up to a number 4. I have a number 3 in my office. I leave it there because that's the one that I practice. You want to be able to hold it and close it. And if you can do that on the number 4, then they put your name in a book or something. I don't remember. It's been so long since I've had them. It's more just a vanity thing. And that's like 300 some pounds of pressure. And you don't have to get up to that strength, but you can work toward that. So I wanted to show you this one. This is the Captains of Crush. It says COC1, and there's a link in the description if you want to see what they cost. And they cost more than the cheapo ones that you get at the, the Target or the Walmart or just the regular store, because they're going to last a lifetime. And these are serious grip, but they're only like 20 some dollars. So it's not like going to break your bank. I have almost a full set. And then they also have, hey John, it's good to see you. They also have what's called, I think they call this the M-Tug. Yeah, this is an M-Tug 5. So, and again, these start much smaller, and this would be just for working on parts of your grip. Working on closing it with your thumb, and then in different parts of the pad of the hand, so you can isolate. But you don't even need this. If you have one of these, you can turn it upside down, and you can work on 3 fingers or 2 fingers. You can work on it this way. You can work on it in the pad there, and that's how I would suggest you do it. And what you do is you want to do like a warm-up set where you're not really putting too much pressure into it, unless that's easy for you. Get the blood flow, get everything in there. Yeah, Doug says using the gripping that I taught helped him get rid of his trigger finger. And that's the next exercise. That's going to help with the trigger finger too. But think about something like this, Captains of Crush. And if you don't have Captains Crush, but you have another brand, that's okay. But a gripper, I drive with it, and I cannot remember driving my car and not picking these up. Maybe a short trip, and then you always want to do both hands evenly. And it's not just about squeezing. You want to squeeze and hold. Being able to squeeze and hold is really important too, especially for self-defense. You want to have that powerful grip so that if you snatch somebody up and you're holding on to them, they're not able to break your grip. A lot of times having an arm bar or someone being able to pull if you're holding on to yourself, or you're holding on to yourself and they can break your grip, then you're in big trouble. My grip is extremely strong. Your grip might be extremely strong. You can get stronger and strong enough that most people can't break your grip. Now, if they're, BJJ, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, blue belt or purple belt or brown belt, black belt, they're probably going to break your grip with good technique, because you're going to use the leverage of their body against your hand, and you can't make your hand ever that strong enough. But you can defeat most people your rank or below if you do BJJ. That's from my experience. If you have a stronger grip. Same thing with judo, same thing with Western wrestling, same thing. And then in just regular self-defense, having a powerful grip will allow you to defeat most people in certain techniques, which is why I say it's one mistake that people make in their training is they don't train their grip. And again, I'll have the conversation. I'll be working with them in person, and I'll show them a technique, and they'll say, well, it doesn't work for me. It works so much easier for you because your hands are so strong. And I say, my hands are not naturally strong. I have made them that strong so that, yes, it does work better, and it will always work better when you have a much more powerful grip, stronger hands, stronger wrist, stronger forearm, and you start with a gripper. And again, it doesn't have to be Captains of Crush, but I put a link in the description if you want what I think is one of the, if you get deep into grip strength, you can spend $300-400 on great grip trainers. I'm not spending that kind of money on a grip trainer. I have the things I need to spend my money on. But, and I know, I can get the same workout rolling, squeezing. I hand wash the kids' clothes sometimes, and you got to squeeze them out. And you could make your own version, is my point. You don't have to necessarily have one of the strong ones. This is the number 2. And again, I don't remember exactly what the number 2 is, but if you go to the link in the description, you can see that this one is it's a lot harder than this one. I also have a 2.5 right here somewhere, but I'm gonna, yeah, it's in that mess. I'll show you this next. This is important. This is the other half of it, and this is Title. I don't know if they still make these, but I put a link in the description to finger extending bands, and usually there's a big one for your thumb, and then one for each other finger, and then in the bag, I think I've got. You can see there's a black one and a blue one, and I don't remember which one. I think red is probably the easiest one, but you can see. And you don't have to spend your money on something like this. I think you can get the link that I put there is like less than $10, and you get 4 or 5 things plus a couple of squeezers in there. So it's a really good value. But you can use any rubber band. I like to use the rubber bands that come on asparagus or broccoli stalks. They're usually those thick purple bands, and you just use them until you snap them. And it's the same as the other one. You do a few as a warm-up set. And then you rest. When you get, then you put it on the other hand, you do it with the other hand. When you come back to it, extend and hold. Yeah, Alita says, so important. Alita, thank you. I really appreciate that. This is gonna make your grip so much stronger. And I don't know if you can see it, lighting's kind of bad, but this really fires these muscles in here. And then if you ever do have to, if you believe in concealed carry, or you do concealed carry, and that's your self-defense tool that you're using in the moment, then you'll take away your shot accuracy is going to improve, your grip, or your as long as you have good trigger control, everything's going to get better with stronger grip. In fact, some of the best shooting instructors that I know, they're usually guys who are what they call CAG or Delta Force, Green Beret. The tier 1 Green Beret operators who went through, and some of them have those courses, and you shake their hand and their hands are like steel and their forearms are the biggest that you've ever seen, and it's just because they shoot so much. But they also do a lot of exercises like this, and I know because I asked, and one of them showed me one time, and I had already been doing this for years because with all of the weapons trainings that I do, I would get tendonitis really bad, and a smart physical therapist friend of mine said, oh, it's because you're just gripping constantly. You need to also extend. So start working on your extensors. And we did that in the bucket training too. Bucket of rice, put your hand in it. It's not just about gripping and squeezing, but you put it in and you open. And the ancients, the Shaolin monks, I don't know if they're the first ones to do it. I doubt it, but it sounds good, right? The Shaolin monks, or whoever it was who came up with rice bucket training, they understood that you have to both squeeze and also extend, or do flexors and extensors. Don't miss that one. If you would, please put that in the comment section. I wanted to show you that real quick because I've been thinking a lot and I've been training a lot. We're in, right now we have, I'm doing some defense here, so defending some people, and then teaching self-defense. So teaching self-defense and then teaching my guard. So I'm doing kind of 3 things. I'm paying it, watching and keeping the place safe. But there's not always somebody here to do that for. So when they're here, thank you, Doug. Thank you so much for that super sticker. I really appreciate that. So we're doing our protection work, and then I'm teaching self-defense. And so I have this summer we have students who are getting ready to go away to college. I want them to be prepared, the boys and the girls. And then the guys who work for me, who are responsible during the school year for protecting everybody, I want them to know how to not get their sidearm taken away, and to have less lethal options if they have to put their hands on somebody, how to be able to do that without, with the most likelihood of success in stopping the fight, or subduing somebody or stopping somebody from trying to hurt somebody that we're responsible for. And so it's not always going to be just this. It's, you're going to have to learn how to fight with your hands too, and learn how to fight with tools. And we're doing some baton training, and that's where, and so everything that I'm doing is making me think, because I keep getting these comments, well, your grip is so strong, it's easy for you. And I keep saying the same thing over and over. I have a strong grip because I train it, and I literally drive around and train every chance I get, and then squeeze and hold, extend, and then extend and hold. And then, and it just takes a few times doing it every day for it to become wicked strong, become much more powerful. And then when you snatch somebody up, and they'll say, oh yeah, wow, your grip is so extremely strong. Or you show somebody and they say, that's because you have a strong grip. You can tell them it's because I train it. So if you want a strong grip, train it. You know, you earn, it's my favorite saying, I say this probably 10 times a day, don't wish for it, work for it. You want something, work for it. Hey Billy, it's good to see you. Yeah, I love that we're all still working out here online together. It's a slow season for this YouTube channel. I'm not exactly sure. I am pretty sure I know what's going on because I keep seeing it every day. If you type in and you Google something, if you use the search on YouTube, which is Google, but if you look something up, especially learning something, they're going to show you 30 shorts in a row and then maybe 3 or 4 long form versions of it because they're pushing their shorts. And so what that means is, and if you don't know, YouTube shorts are, thanks Dave. Dave says, like your advice, YouTube shorts pay a fraction, literally pennies compared to the long form, which is how I pay a lot of my bills from this channel. And so it's just cut everything in half. And I know it's not me, I don't complain about it. It's one of those things, if you've been online for any length of time, you expect that they're going to change the algorithm or change something. And yeah, Dave says, I don't like authority figures, but I seem fair. I really appreciate that. I don't like authority figures either. I am certainly not a rule follower. So yeah, I get it. And that's all I want. I want fairness. I don't want to be judgmental. I'm no better than anybody else. I'm not here to tell you what's right or what's wrong. I'm just here to keep people safe. So that's my job. I don't walk around imposing authority on anybody. I'm just looking for bad guys to put down because I'm not going to let them. It's like if you were the sheepdog and the wolf's coming at the sheep, and you're responsible for keeping those sheep safe. And that's why that metaphor never really, I had heard it for years and years. The sheep and the sheepdog and the wolf, be a sheepdog protector, and it never really resonated with me that much because I always thought that why not be a lion? I don't know. I don't want to be a sheepdog. But the more I think about it, I think, hey, Oregon, yeah. And Oregon's got its own flavor, man. I love Oregon. Every part of it, from the coast to the inside to the big cities. But, if it's my point is, if it's your responsibility to protect people, then I want to be single-minded in that focus. And I'm not here to tow people's cars or, tell people that they can't do this or can't do that. It's just about, keeping people safe. So, yeah, Oregon's changed, but the whole world has changed. And, yeah, Doug says he tried to live as a peace officer. I love it. I know so many great cops who are like that too. Yeah, Dave says he's Baptist Christian type. Amen, brother. But it's, and it's the live and let live. And it's the, doing what we're called as men to do, right? Be protectors. And so, to me, that's everything. That's where oh, cool. Billy's up in Washington. So you guys are neighbors. Washington's another gorgeous state. Same thing. The high mountain desert, all the forests, and then the coasts. I've climbed Rainier, got up to the top of Rainier one beautiful morning. Like I think it was up there 4:30. We summited, and then you see the cone, from the sunrise. Just gorgeous. What a gorgeous place. Climbed all over the Cascade Mountains, but I love every part of that. The whole West Coast is gorgeous, from down in San Diego all the way up to the tip. Anyway, I forgot what we were talking about. I think basically the point is train your grip. You want a strong grip, don't wish for it, work for it. And it's one of the biggest mistakes people make in self-defense is not having any grip strength training in their repertoire. And if you're extremely weak, and I don't know how else to say it, but you feel like you're extremely weak, you're probably not. But if you are, then start light, but do something. Start doing something. Push-ups also. Yeah, Spokane is awesome. Or Spokane, however you say it. Beautiful, beautiful area. Been all over Washington, been all over Oregon. Northern California, fantastic. Put push-ups. And when you do your push-ups on the ground, have open hands and then push your fingers into the ground as you're doing your push-ups, and that's going to start to strengthen your grip too. So adding a few push-ups in as a warm-up set, do your grip strength, you know, your grippers if you have them. If you don't, get a tennis ball, squeeze your tennis ball, get a rubber band. If you don't have a lot of money to spend, put the rubber band over your fingers and extend, but don't put up with weak wrists, especially if you're serious about self-defense at all. Or, you know, and they say as we get older, it's a sign of good health, good overall general health, is having a strong, powerful grip. I was at the VA and they had a strength tester or whatever, and the nurse was so impressed. I had such strong grip. And I said, yes, I trained my grip. And she said, well, that's really good because that's a sign of good health. And I said, thank you, ma'am. And you always say, when you go to the VA, you always say, sir and ma'am, right? Even if you don't do it normally, the military comes out of us and all of a sudden we're saying yes, ma'am, and yes, sir to everybody. It's one of the reasons I love the VA. Anyway, you guys have been awesome. Pepper spray is awesome. Yeah, Sudocon wipes, that's smart if you're going to carry the pepper spray. Dave, it's good to see you. It's good to see everybody else. Thanks again, Doug. I appreciate it.